Welcome to Veloharmony Live Friday Q&A. I hope you all had a good week. We're going to be talking about all things cycling today. We're going to talk about equipment. We'll talk about getting ready for the weekend. And I'm getting used to my new setup on here. So hope you had a great week, all of you. Hope you were able to get K's in. I was able to get it out a few times this week, so that was good versus last week where I couldn't get out at all. It's always good to stay loose. So I want to talk about this jersey I'm wearing. Suki Sports sent this in two colors. They sent a green, which Paul has, and they sent this one orange. We're also getting other copies, so Paul will also have an orange like I have. What I was impressed with the jersey was I wore it this week. And I don't know, those of you who have had jerseys where you do a ride and before the ride's over, you can smell the odor in the jersey. This jersey has no odor. It wicks really well. I even wore it with a base layer, this Assos base layer under here, and it really handled warmer temperatures really well. I like the fit. It has the same band that on the Rafa Classic jersey that keeps the arm in place. I really like that. And so I've suggested to them that they go ahead and adjust the price if they need to. But I think that the one thing I want to change going forward, because she solicited it, was that add a side pocket, one of those pockets that are not on the back, that has a sleeve. So you end up with 4 pockets instead of 3. I said that's about the only thing I would change because I love the fit. In fact, I'm thinking about wearing it tomorrow on the ride. It fits really well. It's for very hot weather. This is not the same quality as the one I reviewed. It's actually another level up. Apparently, these are Italian fabrics, even though they're manufactured in China. The fabric is from Italy. It has like a sublimation on it. There's some kind of print on it. I don't know if you can see it in this video very well, but it's a different level. The zipper quality have different ranges, and I think the pricing is very good. It's like $75 or something like that. So I told her, I said, just add a pocket. She said, well, it takes more time to do. I said, well, do it because how often do we buy jerseys? I said that's going to distinguish the jersey from the run of the mill. So the fabrics are great, very good for hot weather. Wicks. I'm very pleased with it. That's why I'm wearing it. Feels good just wearing it in the studio here. So I'm getting ready for the weekend, and I got this bag in because this is the bag I've been using. You can see the size difference, just those few centimeters. Now my pump fits in this bag perfectly, so I don't have to put it on the side of my pocket anymore. Not that it's a big deal, but I just felt like, man, and this is waterproof. It keeps water out, so if we're right in the rain. So I got this color. It's called, I think, plum, and then I got a black one. So I usually have a bag like this that I prepare when I ride sew ups, which has the stands, no seal in there. And so this one is just for my regular stuff. But this way, everything's in the bag. I can just grab the bag because every now and then I forget the pump, and then you're out there. You've got no way to inflate. So this just made sense. It's a little longer. They didn't always have this size. I think it's 17 centimeters, and it fits the pump perfectly. And so I'm able to get everything in here, and you can see with the pump in there, it's still narrow, and it fits in your pocket well. It's just a little longer than this, but just long enough to accommodate the pump. It's longer, and I think it might be taller. Let's see. No, it's the same height, but just a bit longer, long enough to get the pump in there. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. So I actually measured the pump, looked at the dimensions before I got the bag. It's really neat, the Rafa Essentials kit. But enough about gear. So, but I just like to bring things to the channel that makes sense and works for everybody. So if you're looking for reasonably priced stuff, check out Suki Sports. Use our discount code and save even more. Veloharmony is the discount code in caps. If you don't have the link, I will put the link in the description at the end of this video. Let's see. Jeffrey is here. Jeffrey, my brother is here. Yeah, Paul, the bag came in. I told Paul about this bag. And look, my brother, I think you're in trouble. You're gonna have to get one because it's like they made it for our pump. I told you I had measured it because they gave the dimensions. This is our pump. It fits in there. I'm gonna turn the bag this way. I'm trying to stock it for tomorrow. You can see you put the pump in there. It gets to the bottom of the bag and it fits perfectly. So it's in the bag, and the bag is just as narrow. And then you can still load the pockets and everything else. So I'm gonna put two tubes in here, or sometimes I can put my phone in there. So everything works. I got this plum and I got the other one in black. The black just came. In fact, the bag was outside and the FedEx guy looked like he was fighting the bag. It was all crushed. The good thing was, he couldn't damage this. This is the black, and you can see. So this one here, I don't know which one I will load for everyday use. Maybe this one will be for everyday use, and then the plum can be for special occasions, I guess. Doesn't really matter. But what I'm doing is this is the pump we carry. I have the other one in carbon, and you can see it just fits in there perfectly. It fits in the bottom of the bag, so you have the whole bag left to put whatever else you want in there. I just thought, wow. And it fits perfectly. If this bag were any smaller, but there's a little bit, it's probably about 3 or 4 millimeters left. So I really like that. So we can put more things in here, put your phone or whatever else. So it's a little more spacious, It's kind of neat. I was telling Paul that for some reason, when I put a saddlebag on my bike, it feels differently than when I put this bag in my pocket. So I don't know if it's just me or if it's psychological. My bike just feels friskier when I don't put anything on the saddle. I don't think it's just me. I think when you put stuff on your bike, it affects how it handles. So I like the feel of my bike with nothing on the saddle. That's the thing. That's the reason I'm trying these bags. You can see the tag is still there. If it hadn't fitted correctly, I would send it back. But that's really, and you can try it yourself when you're riding. See how your bike feels if you remove the saddlebag if you have one. I mean, and the saddlebags we carry are pretty small. So even with small saddlebags, it just feels a little dead back there, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like when you put your bottle, you load up your bottle and you put it on this the seep tube bottle cage. Just that feel. So even though it's more aerodynamic there, when I'm moving, I don't notice the difference. But when I pick up the bike and the bottle is there, it just feel like, man, you know. So I took that off and I could feel a difference. So I'm gonna start just putting them in the bag and have I'll put it in my radio pocket on those Rafa kits. So those are kind of the pockets on the back, so we can put stuff in there. I like putting stuff in there as opposed to using my pockets. You know. Paul says he's on it. Yeah, I think you would like it because I think this was before you got here. The dimensions are the same, but this is that much longer, long enough to accommodate the pump with a little bit of room. I would say 3 to 4 millimeters of room. It's perfect because what I was telling the guys and ladies, whoever's here, sometimes I'll get my stuff ready. And I think you remember one Saturday ride, I didn't have my pump. I'll put everything in there except for the pump. And I don't know if I was the only one, or I remember one day you forgot, but I have my pump. So it's easy to forget when you're carrying a lot of stuff. So it's better to just have it in one thing. Even if you're carrying it on your bike, have one thing and have all your stuff in there. It's attached to the bike, then you just go. You don't have to think about it. That's what this exercise is about. I'm tired of running the risk of leaving my pump behind. I don't carry CO2 cartridges. Hey, KJL, welcome. I don't carry CO2 cartridges because, first of all, they're heavier than the pump that we carry, and it's a continual expense. Every time you use it, you got to buy more. As opposed to I have a pump, I use it. It takes about 30 seconds to air up the tire. I'm done, and I don't have to run the risk of running out of cartridges if I have multiple flats, which is rare, but it can happen. It has happened to me. And I just don't like the weight of those cartridges. They're not light. So I'm glad that I don't carry them anymore. I have a few lying around, but I don't use them. I don't like them. It's just, and then sometimes if you don't use the adapter correctly, your air just goes. You know. So it's the continual thing to make sure you're having issues and you deal with it. So this bag was to solve the risk of forgetting my pump and also having everything in one thing in there. So now this is what it's going to look like. It's not going to be much thicker than this, even with the tubes. While I'm here talking about it, this is one tube. Always keep your tube in a bag because it protects the tube from abrasion. Because I have a multi-tool in here as well. I really like this multi-tool. I use that a lot for little things. So I have a multi-tool in there. So the tubes will go in the middle when I do put them in here. Or certain times I will put the tubes in my radio pocket on my Rafa shorts. But both tubes, this is longer than this one. These are the Continental Race. They call them Race 28 Light. So they fold really small. So both of these together is how they're going to go in the bag. And so that's as thick as the bag will be. So basically, you line it up, and this is how we carry them even in this bag. You can put a tube in there because this is a short tube. When it rolls up, it's really short, and it's a 28, but it's a lighter butyl material. And what I do with this is when I replace, if I have a flat and I use one of these, when I get back home, I take it out and wrap it up again because these cost a few dollars more. So I don't buy as many of these, and these are simply to carry to get you to finish the ride. And then I put the regular size ones in there. So I'm only carrying one regular size and one race light too, which folds smaller. And with the two of them now, they sit in this bag comfortably. You can see they're both in there, even with the plastic. And then I have ID, money, wipes. I have the nitrile gloves as well in here because when I repair stuff, I don't like my hands to get dirty. So I wear the nitrile gloves. But everything gets in here. With this size bag, I can carry two tubes in there and then zip it up, and no one's the wiser. So now my pump, money, everything is in here, and this is the bag. So this will just fit in your pocket because it's the same as this. It's just taller, just a little taller. So if you look at that, let's go down this way. That's how much more sticks out. So you can it just sits in your pocket. So now everything is in here, and I'm good to go with two tubes in here. If I want to carry more tubes, then I can just stick it in my radio pocket or, you know. But that's it. Everything's in here. I really like this. So this is definitely the way to go, and it keeps it simple. And then you can always use this for like your extra light thing to where you just put a few things in there for a shorter ride or whatever. Some riders do that. I just like to carry the same thing all the time. Like if you have a skin suit and stuff, sometimes there's nowhere to carry a very robust bag, and maybe you can even stick something on the bike at that time. So I still have the bags that go on the bike, but I will use them once in a while and switch back to this and keep the feel of my bike the way I like it. Tony Baca is here. Welcome, Tony. J West Boy West. Hello, fellow riders. J West Boy. I don't think I've seen him here before. Welcome to the channel. I'm glad you were able to join us today. We got a lot of good comments on the last video. A lot of people liked the section where I froze the safety. I did not do a chapter for that because I felt like the people who watched the warm-up would get that. But if you didn't, check out the warm-up section on the last group ride because we're talking about people in the group. The group's going, and there's a gap between the group and some riders, and some riders ran a red light that had changed like more than 4 seconds before. So it was a risk that did not need to be taken. And somebody put a comment on there and said that he liked the fact that I emphasized safety. I put a little hard on it, meaning I like the comment, but think about it this way. We ride a lot, all of us. So if you're doing something a lot, why increase the risks? You're not riding once in a while. Since you're riding often, yes, safety should be a priority because you're out there so frequently that the probability of you running into harm's way increases if you take chances. That's just the way it is. That's just the way the numbers roll. So it just makes sense. So I liked his comment, but I didn't think that it was something that special. But I think what he meant is that most other channels or other people just want to push these videos and not really be realistic. Yeah, you cannot, if you at something that you do more than regular people. We ride too much to take risks. Because if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen to one of us who are out there more than the. That's the way you have to look at it. That's what I mean when I say we have a rep to protect. Benny says, "Thank you." Yeah, you're welcome, Benny. Thanks for the information. Oh yeah, Jill West said, "I've been in here before, been a while." Yeah, welcome back. Tony Baca wants to know, can you provide any info on butyl inner tubes? Well, they're just a different material. I mean, I just, let's see here. I already got those nicely wrapped. Um, I guess I can compare them to latex. Let me grab a couple of samples. They're right here. This is another reason I like this setup, and it really just works. Everything's here. Everything's this is a cycling room. So this is an example latex tube. This is just a Michelin brand. Victoria makes them, different vendors make them. This is the butyl. I'm going to take them out. This one here, I believe, is green. So this is the latex tube. It's a lot more rubbery than the butyl tube. The butyl tube seems a little more firm, different material. So this is the butyl tube. They're black. These come in. I've seen them in pink, and I've seen this green. I don't know what other colors there may be. This is just closer to the actual rubber. The rubber natural compound. The thing with this is they're more fragile than the butyl tube, so they require a little more care when you mounting them. They will tear easily, so you got to be a little more gentle. They come with talc on them. That's what I'm feeling here. You can add a little more, but it's not necessary. You have to air them up more frequently because they are more porous than the butyl tube. So they lose air more often. So if you put this at, say, 100 psi, the next morning it might be 80. So when I have them in tires, I air them up before every ride, period. Not a big deal. Some people do the same thing with butyl tubes anyway. My butyl tubes, I air up every 3 days just by choice because they hold longer. Now, these, I did a video about the different tubes, so I'm not going to go into all the comparisons, but these have a more livelier feel. They're lighter, and they're just more responsive, so that they can improve the handling of your tire, especially high TPI tires, more expensive tires, race tires. Do not put these in like the tires you're going to use on a trainer. There's no point. It's kind of like wearing your Sunday suit to go do yard work. There's no point in that. They cost a lot. They cost more than these. So we save these for our grand fondos and stuff. I'll put that to the side. These are the butyl tubes everybody use, and they're just, they're tougher. They have different levels. Like the one I showed you, the small race light one that folds really small. Let me take it out of the bag here. The race light, they have different thicknesses. So this race light is thinner than this one. Okay, it folds smaller. It's a softer rubber, but it's not like latex. So they have different grades of butyl tubes. When you're buying them, focus on the purpose that you're going to use them for. If you're just going to be training, just get regular ones. They cost less and they last longer. They're a little tougher. Don't get the race light one if you're going to be riding, your less expensive wheels, less expensive tires, and just for everyday training. As I said earlier, when I put these in after I have a flat, when I get home, I take them out because I love the profile and how small they are, easier to carry. That's the reason I got them. They're not as tough as the heavier ones, but they work fine. There's nothing stops me from leaving them in there and training on them. But since they cost a few dollars more, why do that when I can use the less expensive one for everyday riding? So that's the best quick comparison. But you can search on the channel for butyl tubes, and there's a detailed video that I made that you can use. But that's pretty much what it is. This is what people use. I like tubes. I am not a fan of the tubeless. I have not tried the tubeless, but I've worked on wheels and bikes that have tubeless, and they're harder to work on. And I have been on rides where people that had tubeless had to put a tube in the tire anyway because the cut was too big for the sealant to work. So if you got to carry a tube anyway, then what's the point? So they hopefully they'll get it around to where it will be better. But right now they're harder to get on the rims and all that kind of stuff. They're just harder to deal with. So, they work for some people like them. But I see no reason for me to convert at this point because I'll still have to carry a tube anyway, because that's your fail safe when you have tubeless, especially if you're going far away from home. So I hope this gives you a general idea about butyl. So J West Boy West says, what do you think of skin hard shell? Oh yeah, those are good tires. I have one. It's back there somewhere. We use them for they're tougher tires. They're lower TPI. They're very durable. We use them on the trainer and on the road. They're not the fastest rolling tire, but they're not dogs either. It's a good all around tire. They're very popular. A lot of people have gator skin tires around here. Now, just because it says gator skin or even an armadillo tire doesn't mean that you can just ride over just anything indiscriminately without reading the road. They resist more flats, but you still have to read the road and do your part in helping them, you know, extend their life by avoiding flat. But they're strong, good all around tires. I can use them on the trainer and on the road, and they don't wear quickly. I don't put my nicer tires on the trainer because it will wear the higher TPI tires. So yeah, Gator Skin's a good all around tire. You can't go wrong with that. Melon Seas. Have I been watching the Giro? I've been watching the highlights because we don't get the race here in its full thing. I mean, you'd have to like subscribe to Eurosport and then use a VPN and have a foreign IP address, all that kind of stuff for it to work in the US. So I just watched the highlights and I've been keeping up with, I think I saw the last wet stage that went from a sunny day and then they were in the hills. I watched that. There was some stage where some guy was hit by the bike exchange car. And I was like, you're kidding me? You're in the race behind a rider. So that means the driver wasn't paying attention. The good thing was he wasn't injured, pushed the rear tire. The guy fell and he was able to get back on the bike. But if I were here, I'd be pissed, you know. So that's the kind of thing. But, you know, there were some attacks from Burnout, but, you know, he didn't go anywhere. And, you know, so yeah, the race is going along. I have no idea who's going to do what because right now, you know, it's still early. Yeah, I watched the time trial and all that. I've watched the highlights for all the stages so far. I haven't watched today's stage, but I'm keeping up with it. Tony Baca. You're welcome, Tony. I hope that helped you. Yeah, just get regular tubes. Save your money. You don't need anything special. I just get the small one because it has a small footprint. I can stick, you saw me stick 2 of them in this bag because of this little one. If I tried to do that with 2 regular sized ones, it would just be harder. I like to have at least 2. That way, if I have multiples, I don't have to patch on the road. I much rather patch at home. In fact, patching, you have to be careful about. If you don't do it right, the patch won't hold. So I much rather do it in the shop than to be messing with it on the road. And most riders in the know, that's what they do. Carry the tube, switch it out, continue your ride. I don't have time to wait for the fluid, the vulcanizing fluid to dry, all that stuff on the road. And in fact, I carry what they call the glueless patch. It actually has glue on there, but you don't need to put anything. You just stick it on there. So if I ever needed to, I would just use that. But they don't hold as well. So if you want to keep the tube when you get back, you can switch it out. But I have what I need to get me home. I don't like to call for rides. I think it's kind of unfair to just assume that your better half is just sitting at home doing nothing to come pick you up. I don't like that. That's not my fail safe. So this bag has everything I need. Kids boots, tire boots. I make my own, and I have the TB whatever from Park Tool. Lazine has a tire boot. All the patch kits now, some of them come with tire boots. You need to have a tire boot because that's the main thing that can stop you from riding. I don't care how many tubes you carry. If you have a good enough slit or cut in the tire, the tube will poke out and it will blow up as soon as you put it in there. So yeah, you need a tire boot. If you don't have a tire boot, if you have money, you can use a dollar bill, any kind of currency, and it will keep the tube from coming out. You'll be able to finish your ride. And then once you get home, then you have to get a new tire because if the cut's big enough for that to happen, you can't keep riding on it because the boot itself puts pressure on the tube. So you might get 2 or 3 days and that tube will just start losing air because that area will just weaken. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's see what we got here. If I don't get to you, do a super chat. I'm going to try my best to answer everybody as much as I can. And of course, our members get priority. All right. JWest Boy says he's flat prone. I want to address that. Because there was a group me app that Team RR uses, and we all get messages. We know when the rides are starting, whether they're riding, they're not riding. That's how we keep up with it. And it's funny what you just said. One guy named Greg Schott posted that he's going to buy a case of those cartridges, the CO2 cartridges in bulk. And he of course, he's not going to keep all. I think he was going to buy like 36 or something. He was telling them he'd sell it to whoever was interested, the extras, if they wanted to get in. I think it would be like $1.50 or something, a better price than you'd get in a bike shop. And so they started a little thread, and then one of the other members said, a rider in our group, not to be named, would probably get through that like that. We kind of knew who he was talking about, but the reason I brought that up is when you say you're flat prone, you need to ask yourself, when I have a flat, what's causing it? Am I running over stuff, or is it just stuff that I didn't see? That's for you to think about. If you're seeing the stuff, you're seeing glass and a bunch of rocks, and you're not unloading the weight off the bike, standing on the pedals, then that's you. So don't say you're flat prone. Try to correct that. You should not be having flats that frequently. Every 3 to 6 months, maybe. I mean, everybody's going to have a flat, but it shouldn't be often. It should be to the point where you forget how to change a tire when you have the next flat, if that helps you to get an idea. It's not a regular thing. So if you're having flats, that means where you're riding, there's a lot of crap on the road, and you're not riding on the cleaner part of the road, and you're not unloading, you're not reading the road, you're just running over stuff. Because part of riding the bike is watching where your tire goes. The same thing when I drive my car, I watch where the tire goes because it's expensive. You hit a pothole or whatever, even with the discount tire hazard stuff, depending on how much wear on your tire, you still got to shell out some money to replace a tire. So treat it that way. Pay attention to where your tires are rolling. Don't ride through a lot of crap. And if you're going through a lot of uneven surfaces, stand up. It saves your rear and your wheels and your tires. So fix that. You shouldn't be flat prone. Let's see here. Melon Seeds. Melon Seeds said, "Oh yeah, he watches the highlight. Yeah, the races are too long anyway. To spend. I don't have time to sit there for hours to watch a race. I'm too busy with other stuff, living. So I'll watch the highlights. They're not that long, and I've been watching them on the Eurosport. GCN has some Eurosport connection now, so I've been watching that. What's his name? Daniel Lloyd is doing the commentary, and every now and then there are other like Flow Bikes and other. I don't care who does it, as long as they do a commentary. I don't want an analysis. I just want to see the action. So I don't watch those analyses. I don't want somebody's opinion. I want to see what happened. That's it. Because some of those guys, they put other stuff in there you don't need. All right, let's see here. Oh, Melon, yeah, you saw the incident where the guy was hit from the back. That was pretty lame. If you're in the race and you're part of the race, what do you call it, the entourage? How do you run over a rider? It looked like it was unreal. You saw the car approaching the rider because the helicopter was a helicopter shot. You saw the car approaching the rider, and you're like, "Is he gonna stop?" Then boom, and it was a solo rider who was off the back of a smaller group. So just one rider. How do you not see him on a hill? They weren't going fast, which was good for the guy, fortunately. But he was able to get on his bike and get back according to the what the commentators said. Let's see. Gary Dominguez. Hello, guys. Thanks for your time. Gary, welcome. Leonard Peterson. Can you still improve your fitness riding solo as opposed to riding in a group? Yes. The best, all the champions in the world, all the best champions in the world train solo. I'm talking about Fausto Coppi, Gino Batali, Miguel Indurain, all those guys. When these guys go to a race or a ride or whatever, they're going there to test their fitness. I'm talking about the top guys. I'm not talking about run of the mill. The people who to improve, you gotta be able to do it on your own. You've probably heard if you haven't done it in training, then don't expect to be able to do it in a race. You've probably heard that. So yes, that's where you lay the groundwork. You do the hard work. I ride harder by myself than what you guys see on those films. And you'll see us moving camera around, doing stuff around. But because I ride harder, I'm able to be more aware and do other stuff. The same thing with Paul. Paul rides harder by himself, so he's able to film and do all of this. And that's the reason why when he hits the red zone, sometimes, depending on how his training has gone, he would say, take the camera. Or, yeah, I didn't want to spend that much time in that zone because it wasn't consistent with his training at that point. So yeah, you're supposed to train solo your hardest work because in the group you're really just for the most part you're working on because you're drafting. When you're drafting, is easier. If I'm following someone, I'm not going as hard as I do when I'm going hard alone. And when I ride alone, I head for tough terrain, so I don't have to mentally push myself. So yes, that's where you build your fitness. And then you go to the group, and because you're sitting in the draft, you can ride faster longer because you're putting out less watts, so you can cover more ground with the group at lower effort levels until you get to the front. I was talking about it last week. I was at 180, 200 watts in the group, and then I get to take a pull off camera, and I'm like 380, 400. I'm like, it goes dramatically. So yeah, if you're riding hard by yourself, that's harder than most of the time in the group. Now, I'm not talking about in a group where you get in a breakaway and all of that. That's different. But to get in a breakaway or to break away from the group, you have to have done it solo so that you can adapt to that level of effort. If you haven't done it, you got to let people go. That's what happens. The riders you see riding off the front, they do it. They do that effort by themselves. Imagine training for a time trial. You don't train in a group for a time trial. You train by yourself. So yes, you need to have a plan. You have a program so you can systematically build up your levels to where you're training smart and you're not going to injure yourself by going too hard too soon. That's why I always tell people, get out of a coach or a DIY plan, do your fitness test, your threshold test, get your zones so that you build up gradually. Just like when you build your house, they do a foundation, then they do the framing, and then they go. Same thing with your training. You got to get your base, and then you start stepping it up so that your body adapts and you don't just get off the couch and want to do zone 5 and end up, having a coronary or something. All right, let's see here. Philip Rogers from the Woodlands, Texas. Welcome, Philip. I had a rider in here. His name was Andrew from the Woodlands for a fit earlier today. He was having IT band pain, and he was not surprised. His saddle was 6 centimeters higher than where it should be. And I explained to him he had a gel saddle on top of the saddle, a gel cover, which was about 3 centimeters. Then his saddle was, he had a nice bike, a Canyon bike. And what he told me was he ordered the Canyon bike because you get it online. They basically recommended a medium large frame. The frame came to him and he just set it up and started riding. So I asked him, I said, did they tell you to get a fit? He said, yeah. So they said, good for Canyon. Canyon told him, see a bike fitter. He didn't. So he rode with a saddle that was almost 2.5 inches or more, let's say 3 inches too high, and wondered why his knee was hurting him. So I told him, you were twisting to reach the bottom. He was kind of like the guy the last video moving over, but he said he wasn't aware, he could not remember twisting. I told him, well, your body was trying to make up for the position you put it in. And so once we made the changes, all of a sudden he said, oh, I wasn't able to do this, meaning that now that he was balanced, he could lean on the front. He had arrow clip-on bars on there, and they were flat. And so I brought them up, and I explained to him they have to be at an angle so you get the air to go around you. So there was a lot of stuff he didn't know. And so I just kind of walked him through and explained why you really can't just out of the gate fit yourself. I mean, he's a new rider. He's been riding maybe, he said, 2 years. So if you're having any challenges, it was consistent with what I said last week, where I said most non-competitive riders only go to see a fitter when they're having pain. And he was just having knee pain. I told him, yeah, your saddle was too high. It was back. It was tilted up a little bit. So I don't know how I told him, I said, you must really love cycling because I don't know how you rode this bike. uh, yeah, well, Jay West Boy says I can find that damn needle in the haystack. You and a guy named Mark Kate that we ride with. I like Mark. Mark runs the group. Mark will find the needle in the haystack, and that's who the person he'd go through the CO2. Mark just rides. Mark. One day we were riding a while back, and we're on a road where, you guys been out there. You got these little rocks. People buy those rocks. They're not just garbage. They're rocks that you would put if you were, let's say, setting up concrete. You get these little rocks, and there'd be one by itself in the middle of a clean shoulder. Mark would hit it. So I told him that day, I said, if I had a quarter for every rock you hit, I'd be rich. And we laughed about it, you know. But that's just the thing. Yeah. And I avoid, just don't look at them. Whatever you want to avoid, look away from it. Where you look, your bike will steer there. Just especially when you're moving in a group, and that makes a difference. All those things that get your wheel just right. You get a pinch flat or a cut. Yeah, I hate that. I hate flats because when you leave, you want to go ride. You don't get it. You don't dress up and say, "Oh, I want to go change a flat." No, So let's see. Robin K. Greetings from Amsterdam. Where are you located? I am in I'm in a suburb of Houston, Texas. The southeastern Texas, a state in the United States. We're close to Mexico in the world. Let's see here. Robin K. Yeah. Welcome, Robin. Oh, Paula had already replied. Yeah, spring is an area like a region of the area. Spring is like we have spring, and then we've got Tomball, and different regions. So we're in the region. Spring is a big area though. So yeah, we're about probably 50 kilometers north of downtown Houston, Texas. So Houston is the largest metropolis close to us, and it's just a sprawl. They've gobbled up everything. So Houston's like LA, just huge. John, welcome, John. Welcome, Leonard Peterson. Thank you for your answer. I really appreciate that. You're welcome, Leonard. Um, Philip Rogers, probably much more power after the fit too. Yeah, Philip is referring to the gentleman I mentioned that we did a fit on. Yeah, if your saddle is high, you're just doing leg presses on the bike. And he did confirm that he had done a like a duathlon or biathlon where you run and then you ride the bike. And he said his quads burned the whole time. I said, well, that's consistent with a high saddle. I said, because all you're doing is pushing down because you can't really pull back and come over, and then your body's moving. And then he showed up for the fit in mountain bike shorts. There was no pads, and he just had spandex shorts under it with no pads. And so I told him, I said, you need to get padded shorts. So I took one of the shorts that I had hanging up in there and showed him the pad. And then I showed him a bib short and told him you need to get a bib short. So he's very new to the sport. And so he didn't know this stuff. And so as he was leaving, he wanted to know, where can I get one of the Veloharmony stickers that you see on the bike over there? I said, well, why do you want that on your bike? I said, why don't you I will send you the link and you can get one with your name and put your name on your bike. So he said, well, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So that's what I'm talking about. He's a relatively new cyclist, but it was good that he decided to address that issue with the knee because you can injure yourself. And so he's gonna get his name, and I told him you can put the name on your frame. He's got a nice Canyon endurance bike. It's nice, very lightweight. It's got the through axle, so you have to unscrew, and then I have adapters. I made my own adapters. I did not buy the $60 adapters they sell online to accommodate them and put them on like a regular trainer. Those of you who have them know what I mean. I just went to Home Depot and got some screws and bolts and some washers and made, just to get it in there. That's all you need. It shouldn't be $60. $10, yeah, maybe. But they're just guys. It's just, so he wanted to know where he can get a trainer that his bike would fit. And I haven't shopped for trainers recently, so what I suggested to him was see if you can find a trainer that also sends the adapter for your true axle, so you can get your bike on the trainer when you purchase it. So you don't have to go spend another $60 just to be able to put your bike on it. So he's new, he's getting into the sport, he's got the bug. And so he did research, he found the channel, so he found some of our videos, and that's how he found me. And that's what's cool about this channel, is really a good way to brand the quality of the work that we do. So I don't really try hard to sell stuff. I just tell people about stuff, show them. That's why I love doing the group rides, and those who take the time to listen, you can learn a lot because it sticks with you when you see it while it's being narrated than me just doing a video and telling you about stuff. And it's easier for me because now all I'm doing is saying, oh, this is why we're doing this. This is why that's happening. It's easier than trying to come up with video topics. We've got enough videos on the channel. So now's the time to talk about being safe, being smooth, saving your energy and all of that. So the guy who asked about, do you get, you get fit training alone? Training alone is the best way, in my opinion, to really get to know how to ride. Because like I said during the group ride last week, once you can handle your bike by yourself, you can ride with anybody. Because then you have the confidence knowing that I can dodge this, I can do that, or whatever. And I really recommend those of you who want to compete or do races, don't dodge the rain. Get the equipment and ride in the rain, because one day you will sign up for a race and it will rain. Then what are you going to do? I was told a long time ago, if you never train in the rain, you're not going to be able to race in the rain. It's a little different psychologically and physics. So I said I like the rain, and some people thought I was crazy. Even my wife says I'm crazy when I say I like the rain because we'll be heading out, it's raining. I love the rain. It's great because the roads are clear. I don't like competing for road space with cars. So we find roads that are quiet, close to the house. We don't have to go far. We find neighborhoods that have long streets, no stop signs, quiet. You have them in your area. Just look for them. Look on the map. You don't need to be far. You can do some big loops and just find a place where you don't have a lot of stop signs, so you can keep your engine going. That's why you need a plan. So you get your zones and you stay in your zone and you can focus. You don't need to spend a lot of hours. If you focus, you get the quality in, you know, than just riding around and hoping to be fit. So anyway, let's see here. NP, welcome. That's Noel Pagan. Philip Rogers said Bipps can be a hard sell to new riders, but once they get padded Bipps, they're sold for life. Yeah, I think he's gonna get it because even though he's new, he's been soaking up the videos on this channel. And what he told me in his own words were a lot of stuff on YouTube has a lot of BS. That's exactly what he said. He said, and I watched your videos and it just shows like you've lived this, been there, done that. I told him, yeah. I said, even if I haven't lived it, I'll read about it, test it before I tell somebody about it. He said, yeah. So I share his frustration because before we started this channel, Paul and I would find videos on YouTube about, let's say, Shimano cog sets or something, and we'll be researching, and the video was so poorly made, we'll be like, what is he talking about? It's like the topic of the video had nothing to do with the content. And that is why all the videos on here, the title relates. If I mess up and I get it off, I come back and fix it because I want somebody clicking on the video to know what they're getting. I don't do clickbait. What's the point of that? I only want people who want to be here. If you don't want to watch the video, go do something else. Life's too short. Yeah. So that's why Paul said, man, do something. So we do it realistically because it's real. That's what we do. And I'm glad that we're able to film the ride like we do. Reason being is, yeah, if we had the funds and we hired a motorcyclist to follow the group, you still would not get the perspective you get from the way we film. It's like you're in the pace line the way we film. You're there. Whereas if the motorcycle is on the side, he's got to film from there. And that's why I'm glad that we're able to carry that. So we've improved. We used to carry, those of you who've been here a while, we used to carry a big gimbal, and now we no longer have to. So it's like we just have a small camera with a little stick and it's just easy. Everything is nice. It just works. And I just love the way we do it. It draws you in, and that's why I do the narration. I spend the hours doing it, editing and whatever, cleaning it up, because I want you to feel like you're riding with us. And that's why I don't edit stuff out to change what happened. These guys running the light, I will show it. Because that's what happened. Because the last thing I want on a group ride is to go through with the group and hear a car hit somebody. That's the quickest way to ruin a ride. So they need to make better decisions. I show it. I know they watch it locally. I'm not trying to make anybody look bad, but I'm just going to tell the truth. That's what happened, and you shouldn't have done that. It's just there was no reason for it. And you saw how foolish it looked because 1,000 yards down the road, we're together, and you just risked your life. Anyway, so let's see, Smutsky. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's asking, does a bike fit benefit you even if you use flat or platform pedals? I cannot utilize the cleats because of a surgery. I have tried and tried, but my body won't allow them. Yes, it does. In fact, since you cannot use the cleat, I'm gonna a caveat. Yes, I set up people all the time. A lot of riders come with hybrid bikes and stuff, and they don't intend to get clipless pedals that we use. They're not that hardcore or whatever. And I still set them up to where they're going to be comfortable. Yes, you still need that saddle height to be correct. And what I suggest they do when they come is to wear the shoes they're going to wear, whether it's sneakers, whatever you're going to wear, bring that with you. So that we set that up. Now, another caveat to that is a lot of people that start riding like that, they come back and say, oh, I'm riding more. Every now and then the pedal slips. So I moved them not to clipless pedals, but to toe clips, the actual cage and the strap. And a lot of the pedals, and maybe yours may be like that, a lot of the pedals have holes on the side that you can just buy the strap and that nose and attach it to that, so you don't have to buy a whole toe clip. And the toe clip pedals are not that expensive. So that's something you could use even with the surgery, because with the toe clips, You can slip any shoe in there. It's just a cage. You don't have to get cycling shoes with cleats, sneakers, whatever. You can just slip that in there. The reason why I recommend that is you slip your foot in a cage and you pull that strap. It gives you a connection to the bike so you can pull up as you ride. Because riding with just flat pedals, there's only so fast you can spin without them slipping over time. So if you're going to ride long term, that's something to consider. But yes, you still need a fit because the saddle needs to be set up correctly, the height, the fore aft, so that you're not putting too much stress on your knee. It's not going to be as extended as a rider that is clipped in and all of that, but you can do like a quick fit. Dave 101 Keith, when you do a bike fit, what's the number one problem most people have wrong? Saddle height is always too high because it looks cool. They got more saddles sticking out. I mean, more seat posts sticking out. That's what they go for. I got more. They probably watched a film rider in a tour or something, got a smaller frame and had a long seat pin. You know, those pro guys, they're not paying for the bikes, they mess around. But I always say this: look at the top guys. Look at Egan Bernal. Look at Chris Froome. Look at Mikel Landa. All those guys. Alejandro Valverde. Their bikes look like that guy back there. Mercs. Fistful. You don't need a lot sticking up because why? If the bike is too small, it will feel like a skateboard. You can't use your hips. When you see us riding and I'm gliding, that's what I'm doing. When you don't have enough bike under you, it doesn't feel the same. So these guys will try stuff because they're kids. They're in their 20s, whatever, they're messing around. They're not paying for it. And then they go back to regular stuff. But all the top guys, Sagan, all of them, they got regular looking bikes with a fistful of saddle of seat posts sticking up. That should tell you something. There's nothing to reinvent here. The human body and the bicycle have been around for time immemorial. There's nothing new to it. So they can slope the tube, they can do whatever. You still hitting the same points in space. That's what we call it. Meaning, I don't care what they do with that frame. My hands want to be here, my rear wants to be here, my feet want to be here. So that bike must be made to fit me. Otherwise, it's useless. Even if it's free, they can keep it if it doesn't fit me. So I hope that answers your question. How long did you ride before you rode your first century? Wow, that was such a long time ago. I would say probably about 6 months. The reason being is that I was already fit from track, basketball, and stuff. I used cycling because I had shin splints from running. Then I told a story about following some riders in my sneakers and not drafting, and then this guy asked me to join. So within 6 months, because I was competing, and then I just started going with them on rides. There were some triathletes that would leave at 5 in the morning to go do a century, and then they would run and swim. They were getting ready for the Ironman back in the day. So it didn't take me long, but don't look at how long it takes you to get there. What you want to focus on is what are you handling right now, meaning, and do it by time. A century reasonably will take, let's say, 5 hours or so. Once you get fit, 5 to 6 hours. So focus on, okay, I'm doing 30 minutes now in my longest ride. Let's increase it about 15, if that's your goal. Let's increase it about 15 to 30 minutes each time. The reason I'm being conservative there is the bike is so easy on the body that sometimes we can increase it by more than that. There is no hard, fast rule, but pay attention to how you feel after the ride. Are you wiped out or do you feel like you could do more? I always do my rides, regardless of length, feeling like I could do more at the end of the ride. That's really the rule. Then you know that your fitness is there. You want to come home and you can't play with your kids, or you can't do anything because you rode. That means you overreached. And so after you recover, you cut back. You want to be able to ride and still live after the ride. I hope that helps you. So start gradually and then increase it maybe 15, 30 minutes at a time till you get there. It's not hard. You just need a training plan, and then you need to make sure you carry enough food because you're riding a lot of hours, and water, and you stop. Whatever route you're going to use, make sure you know where the stores are so that you get enough hydration, depending on regardless of the time of year. And that's all it is. You're just riding long. You don't start out going your fastest. You start out in zone 2 and do the distance. Then you start ramping up once you know you can handle that distance. But start doing it by time. If you figure in a grand fondo, you sit in a group, it'll take you 6 hours. By yourself, try to do a 4 hour ride, 3.5, 4 hour ride without too much stopping. And then you're ready to do the full duration. Because in the group you will travel faster. So you will cover more ground. So if Lamont put that in his book, I got that from him a long time ago. If your race is 100 miles, in the group it might take you guys 4.5, 5 hours maybe. So don't go ride 100 miles by yourself to get ready for a 100-mile race. Because by yourself, it will take you longer than the group. Focus more on, okay, I'm going to do at least half of that time at the speed the group will do. So if the group will do it at, say, 37 kilometers an hour, which is about probably 23, 24, let's say 23, then do a shorter ride and try to keep that effort there. And I'm using speed just to give you an idea, but it's mainly the effort. In the group, you would most likely be between zone 3 to zone 4 if you're drafting really well. So then you start riding zone 3 to zone 4 by yourself for that 3-hour time. And when you get comfortable with that, then you can edge it up. There's no point going very long, slower than the group would do. Then you won't be able to handle that with the group. I hope that makes sense. All right, let's see here. Sudden Vegan Marcus Chestnut, welcome. Good to see you here, Marcus. So Smutsky says, would the straps for fixed gear I see around? That's exactly what it is. The strap is not for fixed gear, Smutsky. The strap is for toe clips. The fixed gear boys are strapping themselves in because it feels good. You can use the back muscles in your legs and pull up. And I think this is perfect. This will help you, Smutsky. The clipless pedal actually has a weird name. The reason they call it clipless is because it doesn't have that cage and the clip. The toe clip is what you put your foot in and you pull the strap, and that cage clips your toe. So when they got rid of the cage and the straps for these fancy ones, they called it clipless because they got rid of what was over your shoe. Well, for your situation, you won't need cycling shoes. You can wear any kind of shoes you want. You put your foot in the cage and pull it up. That's exactly what the people use on the track. And that's why you see the guys who do fixed gear, like the messengers and whatever else, the old school, they got these nice, modern looking, old school retro bikes. That's what they're using. It's not just for fixed gear, but it's more efficient to use. And you will need a fit because fixed gear, well, yes, you still need a fit, but I was leaning towards fixed gear. A fixed gear bike will let you know your fit is off quickly because you can't cheat. There's no stopping. When you stop, it's moving your feet. So you can't sit around, scoot to the left because this is uncomfortable. So you got to get a fit. But in your case, yes, you need a fit. And I think you will benefit from having the toe clips in there as you improve your cycling. You will want to use smaller gears with a higher cadence. It will increase your fitness quicker than killing your legs muscling a bigger gear. If you saw the film from last Saturday, look at my cadences. And unfortunately, the camera ran out of power. We filmed so much that it ran out of power. We're in the pace line when it quit. That way it ended. And so it did not show when Paul and I, Paul was in front. I came around and I made a move. I stretched the pace a little bit, but I was able to do that late in the ride because I had saved my legs. So there's a lot involved, so you can't just go ride. If you want to really improve, how you ride matters more than just riding. But riding with It would just take longer if you have no focus. John Lippard, he said he liked the jersey color. I'm glad you mentioned that. I talked about it, John. I love this. I'm wearing this tomorrow. I have this over this base layer. And I think I said it before my brother came when I started the video. This jersey has me hooked. Okay. This is from Suki Sports. And I'm wearing their shorts also. I'm stand up and show. I am impressed because I've been dealing with the lady just by email. I was very humbled when she asked me for what should we do to improve our jerseys. And what I told her was put a side pocket on there, because I have found that I love the side pockets that are on those Rafa jerseys. Because the reason is every Saturday when we're going so far, those are the jerseys I reach for, because I can put more stuff in there without using up my pockets. And I'm not talking about the pockets on the back with the zipper. I'm talking about the side here where you have a sleeve, so you can put your phone in there or whatever else. And so when I told her about that, she said, I really appreciate that. I was already talking to our designer. She said, but it takes more time to do, so it will cost more. I told her, well, you know what? You need to charge what it costs. I said, because I, for one, would buy your jersey if you had that side pocket in there at your price point. Because the other thing I found is you like the color. This thing does not smell. I wore this week for a ride. Paul and I went on a little spin. I came back, no odor. I have had some jerseys, I'm not going to name the brand, where during the ride, the jersey was smelling. And you know how that is. I mean, you're around people, you stop at a store. Sometimes you don't know. Well, they can smell it. I hate that. So all the jerseys I have, of course, you know, Rafa is standard. They don't smell. So this was nice to notice all the Suki jerseys that she has sent. She sent this. Paul has a green one, and we're getting another orange and another green, so each of us can have a copy. But I'm wearing the orange. He's got the green, just like this. No odor. I mean, I was just blown away. Because that's the quality of those Rafa classic jerseys and whatever else. And then I found that they use the same elastic that's on the classic jersey to hold the arm in place. So the quality is there at about half the price. So I told her, add the pocket. That's all I would change. I love the fit. Put that side pocket on there. I would be sold. So she wants us to work with them on the shorts. They're bringing, like, they said they're going to use lightweight pads on some other shorts that they will send here. And when she solicits it, I will just tell her, why don't you put a couple of radio pockets on there? I love sticking tubes in there or sticking my phone in there, whatever, every now and then. I mean, you can't access the phone that much, but if you need to, you can push it up. But having those pockets back there, you free up your pockets. I love having that side pocket. I carry a lot of stuff. It's neat to have. We put like beef jerky in there, because sometimes you ride. After a while, you get tired of gels. You need some solid food. so, so yeah, I am sold. And the price. If you want to get their stuff, I will put the link under this video. All the videos we're doing, but use Veloharmony in all caps. They give you 10% off, even things that are on sale. She set that up for us, so it's there. It's a permanent code. If you buy it, just use Veloharmony all caps. Yeah, they make good stuff. Why pay 150 when you can pay 75 for this? This is a great price. That's what they're selling them for now. Let's see here. Anu Cone, any advantage of going to blue cleats from yellow SPDs? I think you mean the SPD SL. I use the blue cleat. The yellow, Paul uses the yellow. Paul needs more, how do you call it, play, because Paul has an injury to one of his knees from soccer. So he prefers that. So it's a personal preference. There is no advantage. Just find out what you like. I personally have never liked fixed cleats. I like a little play. I use the blue because it has the smallest amount of play. And so when people ask me, I always recommend out of the blue or the yellow. I never recommend. I think the red is the one that has no play, or is it black? I don't remember what they've changed the color to. But those are the two that I see around the most, the yellow and the blue. I like the blue because it has just a little bit of play. It doesn't have as much. I have a video where I gave the actual percentages of play that they have. So no, there is no advantage. Find what you prefer that works for you. You get an advantage if it works for you. The other person will get the one that works for them and they'll be fine. So there's no one over the other. Just get the one that works for your body. So Smart says, he said, gotcha, I have a road bike, but have been struggling because of what you mentioned, the foot slipping sometimes. Yeah, and the biggest thing, Smotsky, is this: they hit your shin and they will scar you. They hurt. Even our clipless pedals, if you clip it in and you miss and you put too much force, it can smack you in the shin. So when I get a pedal, the first thing I do is I reduce the tension so I don't have to press too hard to get in. It's not what keeps you in. It's the alignment of your foot that keeps you in. Going to the side gets you out of the clipless pedals. So you don't need the tension to be tight. I put mine on like 1. I think Paul has his on 0. You don't need that tension that Shimano ships it with. If you have Shimano, to ship it with like 6. I'll go straight to 0, then I'll go 1. That's all I need. So when I stop at a light, I just twist my foot. It's like stepping off of a flat pedal. No pressure. Because I get people in here for fits and they're fighting just to gotta back it off. They have a tension screw on there. I have a video for that. I talked about it in the channel. It's one of the one people watch. He said, I've never gone in for a proper fit because I thought it wasn't, probably thought it wasn't necessary. Just look at it this way. If the saddle is not set correctly, you can't put enough pressure on it as a fulcrum to use your legs to generate power. Because it's uncomfortable, you're constantly moving. Every time you're moving, you can't pedal while you're moving. You have to stop pedaling to shift. Just remember that. So when you're set up correctly, you don't need to stop pedaling. There's a continual motion. You get very efficient. So you can pedal for hours optimally. It's really the number one thing. Yeah, you need to be attached. And in your case, I think the toe clip would be perfect. There are still people riding toe clips, like you mentioned the track bikes. People are still riding toe clips. They're out there. They sell them all over the place, and there's nothing wrong with them. But you just have more flexibility. You can get any kind of shoe in there. You don't have to buy cycling specific shoes. Back in the day when I raced, when I started it, they were out there, but they had those shoes with the little slit cleat that you nailed, and then you would just step on the back of the pedal body and then pull that thing up. So they had shoes with the nail cleats. You had to get them just right. So yeah, but you don't need them because the pedal has, things that will grab your shoe anyway. But having that cage in there, you don't have to worry about it slipping off. And it's easy to get your foot out by just squeezing the attachment. You just pull the cord and you pull that little strap, it stays up and you ride. And when you need to get out, you just pull it this way. It has a little mechanism, it just loosens. So it's easy. It's not a problem once you get used to it. John Hill, he says, what are your thoughts on top tube bags? Are they useful or not? I just don't like the aesthetic. The guy who came here for a fit, he had one. That was the first thing I moved before we did his fit, because I need to see the saddle being straight over the top tube once we adjust. I just don't like I don't think it's cool. Maybe I'm being vain, John. It just seems to be in the way. Before you got here, I was talking about maybe it's psychological for me, but when I put a saddle bag on my bike, it just seems to handle differently. It feels weird. When I take it off, my bike feels like a pit bull. It's frisky. That's just what I get. And that's why I got these bags I was showing where I'm going to be carrying everything in here. I used to do that. And then I put the Silka bag on the blue bike, but I took it off. You can see the blue bike over there. In fact, by like Wednesday or Thursday, I already put the wheels I want to use on Saturday on the bike. And I air up the tires, make sure there are no surprise air loss or anything, So that's what I'm going to use tomorrow. So it's already ready. You want to do that. Don't wait till the night before. You get a surprise. Get whatever you're going to use for the weekend. So I just swapped the wheels I put on the Rene Hertz tires on. Those wheels have those tires on there. That's why it's nice to have a couple of sets of wheels. You can see my other wheels sitting over there. And so I just swapped that on there to do something different. I don't have a lot of fancy wheels. The bike behind me there, I'm waiting for the pedals. There's no pedals on that bike because my Shimano Dura Ace pedals started after maybe 2 years of use or so. As I pedal backwards, the cleat is like moving, and then periodically it disengages just intermittently. And then the other pedal on these bikes don't do that. So it's like a defect. So I'm dealing with Shimano warranty in Irvine, California. They're really good. It's an online form. You fill it out, and then you just need to have the receipt because the warranty is for 3 years. So if you're within that period, you ship it to them. I use priority mail. You just need to make sure it's tracked. And within 10 days, they just send you a new pedal because they can't fix it. It's just they're using a lot of carbon on the Dura Ace model. And once I don't know, I think there's a batch. It just gets weak. And so it always happens on one, not both of them. And you clip in, it's quiet. You don't get that pop when you clip in. That's how you know something's up. And the spring is made out of carbon, so you can't mess with it. It's like the spring weakens, and then you're riding along, your foot just feels like it's loose in there. you know. so that's what I'm waiting. I took those pedals off of that bike and put it on the Colnago because I wanted to ride the Colnago this week with Paul. And so when that one comes in, it will go on the orange bike, you know. But their warranty system is pretty good. It's easy to deal with. So with the top two bags, if you need to carry a lot, I guess is okay. It just doesn't look that cool. I don't know what you would put in there. I've seen people put the same stuff you would put in a bag. I would much rather put a bag under my saddle than on my top tube. I just don't like messing with the lines of my bike. Maybe I'm just vain. I think the bicycle just looks cool with less stuff on it. So yeah. So if you got to carry stuff, John, uh, just get a saddle bag that goes under the seat. I think you're better off. Unless, I don't know what else you're going to be carrying. Some people that are doing like long distance stuff, they'll put panniers on the front. That's okay. And then they'll put, yeah, if you're doing that kind of riding, yeah. But just for the kind of riding we're doing, just to carry a patch kit or whatever else, stick a bag on the saddle. Don't put anything on your top two. It just doesn't look cool. That's me. Okay. Let's see. Southern Vegas is Suki size chart accurate? Yeah, the Suki size chart is accurate. What's happening is they're almost like Castelli. This is a 2XL. So when I buy Castelli, I have to buy a 2XL. Remember, it's in Asia. Those guys are smaller than us over here per se, or maybe they're just more realistic in their sizing. It's the same thing with the Europeans. Castelli, the jersey's just the size small. So look at the dimensions on the chart. The dimensions are correct. So if, like for me, I'm 40.5 or 41 if I measure real tight. So I know that that's my size regardless of manufacturer. Those are my dimensions. So when I look at the Suki chart for the jersey, I fall under 2XL. And that's what this is. But it doesn't mean anything. It's exactly the same fit as a Rafa large or a Castelli 2XL. So yeah, look at your dimensions and then pick whatever lettering they have in there. That's it. And you're good. And that's any manufacturer, not just Suki. They're all over the place. You may be buying shoes. Just crazy. When I buy shoes, I do European sizing because they're more consistent across vendors. I just do 45 because 45 equates to 11. Then if you're in the UK, they say it's 10.5. And then this other person would say, no, this is 11. So it's all over the place. So I just do 45. All right, let's see here. Unknown is saying something I missed it. He said, speaking of cadence, I'm always in the big ring pulling 90 to 105. That's a good range. That's a good range. Yeah. I don't really look at my cadence. What I do is when I was trained in cycling, because I came from running, and running is different. So I didn't want to bring the habits of running to cycling. I was fortunate to have a coach early on, so I improved in cycling quicker. If I didn't have a coach, it would have taken me longer. Because when you come from running, you're used to a different rhythm. So there's a tendency to just pedal big gear slowly, you know. And when I got into cycling, that's the first thing that was corrected. Like, no, you can't pedal big gear slowly because then you won't last. And that I had to work on focusing on lightening the load because running you're used to that pounding and all that. So yeah, the key is that if I'm gonna close a gap like a car, like a Ferrari, rev. That's the logic. If I'm going to just maintain, then get a cruising RPM. It's the same thing in your car. If you do a stick shift car, you rev to, let's say, your red line. When you shift, the revs come down. When you're cruising in overdrive in whatever car you have, when you're cruising on the roadway or the motorway, your revs settle. If you need to accelerate and you mash, if you have an automatic car, you mash the gear, what happens? You feel the car downshift into a smaller gear, which gives you more rev. It's the same thing. The physics are similar. So if you're going to chase someone down, don't lug. You're not going to break away from anybody lugging a big gear. You downshift and you rev. So we're gonna wrap up. We're over an hour. If I didn't get to you next time, just use use the super chat. So I want to thank all of you for joining us. JOS boy said, "Hell, I'll need a 7XL." All right, that's the sizing stuff he was talking about. Nocturne. He says, I've been riding with power meter for a year. I found I can sustain consistent power when I'm spinning, but the power starts to deviate at lower RPMs. Yeah, your legs get tired more. They tighten up. Yeah. So thanks, guys, for joining. I'm glad that you guys like this. We're going to do our best to keep it up just to help out. Join us on the ride. We will film for you again, my brother. And have a fabulous Friday wherever you are in the world. And if it's Saturday for you already, get out there, get your K's in, and look out for the new ride. I love doing those the trailers. It's fun. It's a little bit of work, but it's fun. I think it's worth it. I will be safe. I always ride safe. That's the only way to do it. You guys take care and be cool out there. Get your K's in. We'll be in touch.